Welcome to The Soul Mirror, a space where we slow down enough to hear what our inner world has been trying to tell us all along. I'm your host, Pragya, and here we don't chase self improvement, we practice self honesty. Because so often, what we call motivation is actually survival, and what we praise as discipline is quiet exhaustion. Today's conversation is about burnout, not the surface level kind we joke about or solve with a break, right? The deeper kind that slowly disconnects you from your body, your joy, and your sense of who you are beneath the roles you perform. I've spoken a lot. Let's come to our guest today. So, my guest today is Shelley Boyd, who is an author of Beyond Burnout, the Overachiever's Guide to Beating Burnout for Good. And this sounds amazing. So, Shelley did not study burnout from a distance, she lived inside it. From 11 years as a roadie in the country music industry, working 18 to 20-hour days, where exhaustion was normalized and boundaries were invisible, to running her own video production company, Shelley saw how deeply hustle culture embeds itself into our identity. A wake up call came before 40, an ER visit where she was convinced she was having a heart attack. And yeah, we'll ask about her journey from her. And let's begin with this beautiful human being that sits in front of us today. And listeners, I'm telling you, take up the insights. This is going to be your version where you can, start your journey and think about your life. Firstly, Shelley, thank you for being on the show. It is such a pleasure to have you on the show. And yeah, it's great to have you.
Thank you. Thank you. I've been looking forward to this. I feel like we're very aligned. I love how you even just describe your podcast and what we're trying to do for your listeners. I think we are very much on the same page. So, yeah,
That's
looking forward.
great. That's great. Um,
Yeah.
okay, to start to start with then, Shelley, we've talked about your journey and your experiences, and it was just in brief. So you have experienced burnout across different industries and seasons of life, right? I want to know that when you look back now, how do you define burnout right now? Like, is it a symptom or is it a lived experience that you take it through now?
That's a really good question. I think it's more than a symptom. It's a collection of symptoms and it's a name for something that we don't always have a name for, something we can't quite put our finger on because I think when we use that term, we're trying to say that we are not just tired. We are tired. We're exhausted. We're over it. But it's something more than that. It's more than just exhaustion. And from what I've found through my journey is that when we use this term, it's usually because what we're doing isn't aligning with who we are, or what we're doing is not. It doesn't have anything to do with where we want to go in our lives, and that disconnect, that rub, that's a huge energy drain, frankly. And it's that energy drain that I think is what burnout really is. I think that's what's really at the heart of burnout. It's that disconnect, that misalignment, and frankly, that lack of meaning uh, in what you're doing and pursuing. Yeah, that hurts. It can be really pain.
I get it. I totally get it. And thank you for sharing that with us. Because burnout, it is such a slang nowadays, right? As I was mentioned above, that it's not the kind of burnout that we're talking about today, wherein, if you are too worked up, you just take a break, scroll reels, and then get back to it. So thank you for sharing your journey through it. And that feels crucial, so very truly. And I want to know that your years in the touring music industry, it sounds intense, long hours. Yeah.
It really will. Feel it. kind of dive in and then describe what that was kind of like?
Yeah, I mean, um, it's it 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 looks and it feels so intense. Long hours might be there, chronic sleep deprivation, and all of that. So we totally agree to this. I hope that the environment, it shapes your beliefs so much. So I want to know, how did that environment, the long hour work timings, chronic sleep deprivation, all of that shape your beliefs about work value and self-worth? Because I know it changes with all the experiences that comes through.
Oh, it does. I think it really warped my idea of what a healthy work culture is really supposed to be and really supposed to look like. Because as you described in the intro, it was some crazy long hours. I mean, these are 18-hour days where we are up at 7 a.m. emptying semi trucks worth of equipment. So for people who maybe don't understand what I'm talking about, I did live event production for concerts and tours. So when you go to a show and you see all the lights and the video screens and the sound equipment that's hanging in there, I was on that crew that would build all that stuff during the day, run it during the show at night for the audience, and then pack it all up that through the night to get on the bus and do it the next day. Like, it wa it was a lot. Um, and in the beginning, it was fun. I started when I was in my 20s, and that can be a really fun way to, like, see the world. I definitely did a lot of travel. I met a lot of really interesting people, and, like, that was great for a season, but I stayed way too long in that season than that I needed to. And I think to kinda get back to your question, like, I started to, I don't know, kind of lose a sense of identity of who I was outside of this job because it was so all-consuming. Um, any time that I wasn't, uh, on tour, like, I was sleeping. Like, I didn't have a life outside of the tour. I didn't have friends outside of the tour. I missed weddings and birthdays and holidays and all of this stuff that usually kind of acts as a grounding that connects us to our families, our friends, where we come from, where we're going. Um, and after a while, like that disconnect, uh, really kind of ate at me, really kind of wore on me. But deep in this culture, this touring culture, it's those things aren't valued. And so it's like you're just being whiny if you want to go to your friend's wedding instead of the show that's next week. Like uh, your value as a human becomes the job. Um, and I would say honestly, I've been out of it for about a decade now. I'm still working to unpack some of that and like de-tether my self-worth from the job that I get paid to do. Um, but I think that, even though this environment is a kind of an extreme example, I think that's something a lot of people can relate to, that like your worth becomes bound up in your productivity and how much you're able to produce and the hours that you work. Um, yeah, and then trying to kind of retrain your brain can really be a process. Is burnout is what happens when we lose that, when we lose that connection to who we are, where we wanted to go, why we're doing any of it in the first place. Um, because I sound like I'm poo-pooing this line of work, and I don't really mean to because I do have friends that are still in it and still love it, but it means something to them that it didn't to me. Like, a lot of people that I know that still love doing this and are still okay with these crazy, insane hours, um, tend to be musicians themselves, and so they're really motivated to, like, share this music with the world. I didn't have that. Like, I just kind of did it because it was the cool job to have after college and, something really just interesting and different to do, but I didn't have a deeper reason for being there, um, which meant that newness wore off, like, in a couple of years. I stayed too long, but the fun really did kind of wear off in those first few years. Um, I think I kind of wandered from my answer, but or from your question. Um,
No, no, it's totally fine, and it's totally apt because I feel that, when you said that a lot of people, they're doing the same thing, but they like it. It is for them. It
Mhm.
might be this, that, okay, in their mind, it is something that they always wanted to do and they enjoy doing it. But then
Yeah.
we all have different lived experiences. And as you also said, right, that it shapes you. And if there is something that is pulling you so much that you start to lose, if not lose, you start to feel that blurry, faded identity, self-awareness about yourself, and that is a sign. And I deeply, deeply feel that. So amazing answer that was, and yeah, thank you for doing that.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
yeah, let's talk about Beyond Burnout. So in that, you challenge a lot of common ideas about healing. What are some of the biggest myths that people believe about, recovering from burnout? And you want to, just pop that bubble for them that, okay, this.
Yeah, I think the biggest misconception people have is that it's, a personal failing or it's, like, something that they did wrong. Um, it's because it's not that you're not working hard enough. I feel like a lot of people try to solve burnout with more time management tips and tricks, or they try to solve it with, like, more productivity hacks, sleep hacks, life hacks, and it's, uh as though they somehow weren't already doing enough. I think maybe the biggest bubble I wanna pop is that you're doing enough. You are enough. Something just isn't aligning, so take that win. I guess take a breath, take that win. It's not happening because of any character flaw or anything that you did wrong. It's instead, more like a signal to be paid attention to and to as a jumping off point to start exploring, um, maybe what else it is that's that might be missing, or that what change is needed in your life.
That's again beautiful. And yeah, I love that, just sit back, take a breath, and, take a breath, and it's all going to be there.
It's
And
gonna be okay. I mean, because keep in mind, I don't think that burnout happens to slackers or people that aren't, like, trying very hard. If you're feeling burnout coming on, like, you're already one of those high achieving, hardworking people that society kinda counts on to do more than their fair share. So just the fact that you're even dealing with this, like, take that win. Like,
mm, I get it. I get it. And now that we talk about high achievers. So there is this thing about high achievers, right? And it's not a bubble, I feel. It's very obvious sometimes that high achievers, they have this fear in them that, slowing down, it would lead to losing themselves or losing the progress. Or if I'm working like 12 hours or 10 hours on my laptop, but
yeah.
that would, and if I come down a bit, it would affect my productivity. So how did you untangle who you were from what you produced, and how did you deal with this thought process?
I think I think I, in a way, kind of always knew, what it is that I wanted to do, and that's to write books. Um, but I didn't acknowledge that for the longest time. Like, I wouldn't kind of let myself, be creative in that way. And I don't know, I think maybe it's because I just kind of came from a family background or a culture where, like, creativity isn't really valued because it's not, like, seen as productive, and I'm probably not alone in that if I had to guess. I think there's a lot of places on earth where, we're constantly surrounded by these messages that you are what you do, and it takes a little bit of a leap of faith to try to do anything else, and one of the ways that I try to kind of separate out who I am from what I do. Uh, well, I have a couple little tools that I like to use, so I'm going to share those. One is journaling, but not any journaling. Complete stream of consciousness, like judgment off, like inner voice off, and just flow and just write. And if you try to, I think you'll be amazed what comes out. Um, for me, it's a way to kind of tap into that subconscious. And it might take a little bit of practice because, like, that inner voice, at least mine, is pretty loud, and pretty obnoxious, and it has been my whole life. But that's a really good tool to start to uncover, to start to unbury who you are underneath what's expected of you, underneath what you do for a living, and underneath all those other different labels that we get assigned, labels that we put on ourselves. Um, so that's one of two. The other one would be to go out and do something just for you. So whether for me that's usually a hike. I love to be out in nature. But take yourself on a little solo date. But maybe it's a movie, maybe it's a walk around a city block or go to a store. Um, as long as you're not running errands, getting groceries, doing something for other people, do something that's just for fun, just for you. And bonus points if it's tech free. So if you're going on a walk, if it's safe, leave your phone at home and give yourself some space. Like, just, I guess that's what I'm getting at is to give yourself some space. Take yourself on a solo date, something that's doesn't mean anything to anyone but you. Um, Antiquing is another good one I like to do. Um, but yeah, I think that those two things help you to separate out who you are because they are kind of digging through those expectations and the labels and allowing you just room to be you. I hope that helps.
It surely does, and I'm so sure that it helps in so many things. It's not just burnout, but sometimes um I don't want to name the deep and the more serious issues regarding it, but anyways, working on yourself and that, taking out time for yourself, like even once a week, it would feel so much better. And you are a living example of it, that you took that step out for yourself and you're happy now. I mean, you're happy in whatever you are doing, and you're also happy about your decisions. So it's such a beautiful thing to sit with yourself, talk to your inner being, and yeah, that is so much grounding, beautiful.
Yeah.
Now,
I think it is safe to say that I'm happier now with where I'm at, but I just wanna say that doesn't mean that everything's easy, and I just wanna say that for folks out there that might be listening. It's not that once you kind of find the path that you're supposed to be on that, life is gonna be all sunshine and rainbows and everything's gonna be easy. What it means is that you're gonna have the resiliency to withstand those challenges because they're gonna feel like challenges to be overcome and not something that's just beating you down. Because we as human beings were designed to handle stress actually really well. Our sympathetic nervous system, our parasympathetic nervous system, we're designed to handle stress incredibly, incredibly well. We needed it, back when we were living in caves and trees to get away from predators safely and all that sort of things. We're designed to do that really well. But when you're doing that for the wrong reasons, I think that's where burnout can start to slowly creep in, kind of even before you know what's happening. I have a friend that likes to say, being busy is easy enough to manage. It's being busy in the wrong direction that hurts so much. Sorry, I
mm,
didn't.
mm, I, no, I totally get it, and that is so true. That yeah, it should not be misunderstood that life is now, just a road with lush green grass and that snowy mist on it. No, it is not. But
The challenges feel fun. The process feels.
yeah, it's that you are happy now. It's just the emotions that are changing. And yeah, that adds up to the productivity and the growth. But then again, as you said, it's not easy. So, to our listeners, I have a mini practice for you, and I would love that even you add up to it because, yeah, this is something that I want to take from you today. So, listeners, before we close, here is a gentle burnout reality check that you can try this week. Finish the sentence honestly and do it for yourself, right? Don't do it for the sake. So the sentence is, I quote it. The part of my life that costs me the most energy is dash. Finish this. And then ask yourself that what would change if I stopped treating this as normal? No fixing, no optimizing, just awareness. Burnout begins to loosen its grip when, truth is acknowledged, and that is what we've been talking about. And um, it's lovely if you just, think about it, sit for a while and acknowledge whatever you've been going through. And Shelley throughout has talked about it, that it's simple, that you understand it and acknowledge it at first. It's not always a rigid routine that you have to follow. And with that, if today's conversation it felt uncomfortably familiar or finally, gave language to something that you've been carrying quietly, consider sharing this episode, with someone who appears strong on the outside but is struggling beneath the surface. Because, you know, I feel that all of these questions, all of these topics that we talk about, all of the insights that Shelley has shared with us today, they bring in some questions in your mind. And I know it helps. And if the soul mirror helps you reflect more honestly on your inner life, leaving a review helps these conversations reach people who need permission to slow down and choose differently. Thank you for being here and coming coming on to Shelley. You have been such a beautiful um, guest who has, come up with such simple yet so enlightening insights. And thank you for sharing your journey with us and trusting us with this because it feels it is a task that that brings in people and their thoughts and their lives and what they took out from that, and it involves introspection and all of that is lovely. So thank you for being on the show and bringing your wisdom and your life's journey through it. And yeah, thank you for being such a gentle energy for the listeners too. So that is from my side. Signing off, I am Pragya, and yeah, over to you, Shelley.
Thank you so much for having me on the show. It's been an honor to be on your podcast here. And yeah, if something that I talked about today really spoke to you, you might want to look for my book Beyond Burnout: The Overachiever's Guide to Beating Burnout for Good. It's easy to find anywhere books are sold, and I'm able to in that book dive into so much more than we just didn't have time to get to today. So I hope that that is helpful.
It surely did, and I hope that listeners resonate with all of that you've said.